You know, I'm gonna put on a hostess curse for you guys. I know it's been a lot of series you've casted today, but I'm hoping for a 5-series game, no matter who the winner is, no matter whose tide is gonna turn to the favor of. And I mean, on my books, I'm still winning against Private Dancer on these predictions, even though I was this close to voting for Area 77. But I guess
what's that production? Get rid of Liz.
And now, without further ado, I think the last team is ready, or are they? But we're looking forward to the last series of the regular season. This is going to be the last match of the whole regular season stages. And with all the things that happened this weekend, will something be different when it comes to TOB versus BTK? Let's find out.
Thank you so much, Liz. Always wonderful with the tosses. And now we jump into the final series of the night. BTK versus TOB.
Yeah, and while both of these two teams have already secured their spot in the playoffs, you can bet that both of them are looking to make a statement here tonight, whether to maybe get that momentum as we move to the playoffs in Los Angeles. I mean, the past fights have been nothing and literally just TOB domination. Does Bloodthirsty King possibly have the formula needed to topple TOB?
Well, if there's going to be a night, tonight could be that night, because if you guys haven't noticed, TOB does have a sub in. They've got Wrath playing on their own position instead of Shark, and we know the synergy with Hoon and Shark. And with that, with Wrath having not played a singular game with TOB throughout all 3 phases, this could be the chance for BTK to secure a dub.
Yeah, that's gonna be the interesting thing here as well. I mean, especially with the impact that Shark has had on a lot of the Ohio Brothers games. And I want to say, I don't really know too many people who would disagree with me. Shark, pretty much the #1 roam in North America right now. So some big shoes for Wrath to fill here.
Most definitely. Now, all right, taking a look at draft. One thing I want to point out is, BTK, they were totally cool with the Fanny against Area 77. They're like, but we're not dealing with best players Fanny. Like, that's one thing. Like, because we've seen them try to have answers for it before, and best players just too smooth with it. So they take out the Fanny. The Bruno also off the map, which I thought maybe they might leave open for themselves, but they decide to ban it out here. So that takes that away. I think it would have been nice. ISO played a great job on it, but instead they want to prio the Kadita.
Yeah, and we already saw Fly Chicken, especially with the last series, how lethal he was on it, especially if you maybe are a little hesitant or a little late when it comes to your rotations or checking some of those bushes. He will punish you severely for it. We're going to have to see what the Ohio Brothers are going to answer back with that. Both suppressions off the board for them, and Yves taken off for them.
Yeah, most definitely. And now the Arbors, I mean, they like to take that Fredrin away from Mobazane. Even if they flex it over to Milo, it's always a solid pick. So that could be something we end up seeing here. Definitely a possibility up front. Shark's not here, and so the Franco's already been banned off. I would say normally something like that. But they go for the X-Borg for Milo, most likely.
Yeah, X-Borg for Milo, most likely. No. And then that Fredrin to go ahead and take that jungle away from Zane.
I was going to say, I guess, yeah, you get the Fredrin jungle. Definitely a possibility there. On the side of BTK, now we want to respond with something. I think, pick up the Martis from Mobazane again.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the Martis. He's also got that Boxia that he can call on, which would actually prove to be a decent counter for the Fredrin, because you got that stock anti-heal on the Boxia, which can kind of burst him down a little. But then you're not talking about something that can possibly, I mean, get you an advantage during those Lord fights, where we know while Zane does not have trouble with retros. There's the Boxia anyway. So, I mean, I was just going to go into, I mean, the biggest thing for me when it comes to Bloodthirsty Kings taking on the Ohio Brothers is BTK being able to formulate a plan around some of these pit fights to give Mobazane time to get those retribution where he's not dealing with the entirety of Ohio Brothers knocking into him, creating all these different focuses for him.
Not only that, but these are normally picks that the Ohio Brothers does not let BTK get. Like the Basha normally does not slip through. The Kadita either gets taken by Hoon or they ban it out and don't give it over the side of BTK. So a lot of things have kind of slipped through the cracks here that TOB normally wouldn't let. T played a great game on the Paquito last game against Area 77. We know the type of cuts he can make. We know the type of flanks he can make on this hero. And if he can get the advantage over the EXP lane, over Milo, then it's going to be huge.
And we've seen time and time again, if you can rotate fast on that Paquito, you're going to have a problem on that Valier, who's going to be basically a sitting duck for them. We've seen Victor do it. We've seen T do it. We've seen Merciless, I want to say. Well, not on the actual Paquito, but that's one of the biggest counters when it comes to Valier, is being able to worry about that XP lane coming to jump you from behind. But we're moving into the second banning phase. Claude taking out for the Ohio Brothers, still looking for what BTK wants to settle things in with these second bans.
I mean, both teams still need a gold laner, right? And no Bruno, now no Claude. You know, do both teams really hammer in here? And we get left with, scraps? Beatrix is still open. Brody's still left open. I'm wondering if that's going to be the end strategy here. Valentina will get banned out. That's going to limit down Hoon, which I think is a solid ban. Hoon's a monster on the Valentina, even though she hasn't been, like, the most picked mage anymore, which is crazy to think about. Still a solid ban to take away from Hoon.
Well, yeah, and especially because you still have that rough waves out there as well. So then something that you have that is that additive to your team becomes something that you're going to have to watch out for as well. Navario taken off the board as well. That's a great amount of zoning and sniping ability for them. Like we've said before, if you're down to half health before the fight even starts, it's going to be a problem for you and your composition. We do still have some marksmen left out there. Beatrix is still out there. We did take the Brody off of that last ban. Ohio Brothers really trying to hone in on ISO's pool here.
Ooh. Spite. That's why they were banning the gold laners, because they were like, we know where we're going. They pick up the Ixia. I don't even have anything to really say about this. It got picked up like once in MPL PH the other day. It got picked up in ID, I think, once, but it still hasn't really like earned a spot. I think a lot of people are saying it could be good. A lot of people are saying it's horrible, so we'll see tonight.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see tonight. I mean, she does have her pluses. She does have her minuses. That ultimate kind of puts her into the same position that a Farja or a Gore does, where she's kind of a sitting duck, has to be very stationary to really dish out a lot of damage. Does have a decent amount of CC, but does also lack any type of like mobility or escape for her.
Yeah, I feel like her ultimate is essentially just like the Nabir's Passion, except you don't have any of the other pluses that come with the Beatrix. But we'll see. I do like the fact that she has some CC, so that could be a game changer. But the Ling is going to be locked in for best player. Yato locks in the Farza, prime target for the Ling, but does have the wings by wings. But still, I like seeing Yato on a hero like this. Like I said, I always like seeing him on a nice high ground mage. His aim is always on point. His positioning is good, so it could be crucial. But best player just loves picking on Yato when he picks up something like this.
Yeah, but that's going to be the interesting thing here too, because I mean, I want to say that that's kind of probably one of the bigger counters for somebody like Ixia. We were just talking about Zia, probably one of the best marksmen in North America. I definitely want to see how well you're going to be able to perform with that Ixia against something like a Farja, which is definitely going to be able to punish you once you land, once you launch that full barrage ultimate.
All right, let's jump into game number one. This is a best of 5. BTK up against TOB. Now, taking a look at this composition with the Basha. This is something Mobile Zayden hasn't really gotten to play recently, but we know he's a monster with it. And I feel like up against the Ling, BTK, a major win condition is we need to get into Ling's face, man. Get into his face early on, maybe even before level 4, and just pressure. Luckily, the Ohio Brothers do have this Valier, which can kind of help deal with that if BTK wants to be overly aggressive. But still, I think it's a major winning point for BTK.
Yeah, interesting enough having Hoon. Oh, Fly Chicken actually finds a kill on some yellow, and that's going to go ahead and set the tone for this early game. Before the first minute, 1 kill for Bloodthirsty Kings.
Can never sleep on fried chicken at this point. At this point, I don't doubt him anymore. I was a bit of a non-believer at first. I was like, fried chicken Rome? Come on. What is this? Where am I? But at this point, on Like, especially on this Kadita, man, he is just lethal, man. This guy is lethal on it. And I think after this game, TOB will probably end up banning it, or they're going to first pick it for themselves.
Yeah, Mobazane does clear out that minion, is starting to get himself in position for the turtle. Best player lands on top of Team Yellow there with the backup as well, trying to put on the damage, but T going to be able to get over these towers. Actually going to go ahead face to face with Best Player, trying to put on the damage with those knockout punches. Best Player damage of his own. Hoon with the backup. Is Best Player going to be able to find the kill? Tempest of Blades is down. Mobazane coming in, looking for the set. Is not going to be able to find Best Player, but that does zone out the Ohio brothers with 5 seconds left on this first turtle.
He gets away with a sliver of health, and he doesn't even go back to base, man. That guy's back up in the XP lane right now with 10% health. He fears no man right now. He's comfortable with it. Mobazane sitting in the turtle pit. Wait, is Hoon on the Fredrin again? How did we miss this? What?
Hoon is on the Fredrin in the mid lane, trying to add a little bit of that CC. I've seen him talk about it before. It's not even, it sometimes isn't even to take it away from Mobazane. It's just when his composition usually lacks enough of that CC that they need.
I mean, I remember last time they picked it because it worked. Like, they wanted the counter of the Esmeralda against the Lapu, and he just kind of bit the bullet for it. But this time, I'm wondering if we're pushing it. Yes, they do have a Wrath on this Valier, so they kind of like make up. You still have some magic damage, you still have some physical, you still have like this roam and mid, you still have like this tanky and mage mechanic in the mid, and it's just kind of swapped around. But still, it's a little iffy.
Yeah, Wrath is setting up to try to push away Mobazane. Fly Chicken lying in wait, waiting for the perfect opportunity, but it does not come. Best Player and the rest of the Ohio brothers in great position. Oh, actually does get knocked out of his rough waves. Chicken in trouble here. Gets bursted down by Best Player.
He actually got knocked out of it too. Like, he still has the green dot. He still has the ultimate. He got knocked out of it. And then they had him so locked up, he couldn't pop it. He couldn't repop it. They were able to kill him before he had the opportunity to even escape that. So a good pick. Maybe this will make Fried Chicken a little more careful, possibly. Maybe that could be a little, have a little mental game. Like, I got to be a bit more careful. I can't just go in crazily. I'm not going against, a different team here. This is TOB. I have to remind myself that. And now at this point, it's 2-1. TOB tying up the gold. Turtle up in about 70 seconds, but still hard to tell who this game could go to.
Yeah, I mean, right now, 1-2, it's still very even. We do have a little bit of a gank setup, trying to bait out Zia. But, I mean, the man, he has to smell that in the bush and sense it.
Taking a look at some of these items, though, ISO has just locked in the Haas Claws. Going to get a little bit of crit, a little bit of lifesteal off that one. On the side of Ixia, we're going for Trinity here. We picked up the Corrosion Scythe. Whoa!
Yeah, big 3-man gank onto the Ohio brothers gold lane. That's going to be the end of Zia early. But do find a little bit of a pop-up on the Fly Chicken, but it's not going to be enough to pay them for it. TOB on the backside going against T-Zane coming in there. You can see Best Player very low, so he's going to get juked out of his jungle here. Tempest of Blades is down, trying to dive around. T dives to the base and finds a kill onto Best Player. Pays for it as Mielo comes in with that last insanity.
That's good value, though. That is very good value. Taking out Best Player right now at this stage in the game is very important because we know how that lane can scale up. We know how much of a problem it can be. Not only that, but if Mobazane can get a level ahead, maybe 2 levels ahead, even just 1 level ahead, it's going to give advantage with the Retry over those neutral objectives.
Yeah, and you see 3 members of BTK here at the bottom, trying to put that pressure where it belongs, right on to Zia. We do have a stun with the Feathered Airstrike, but on the backside, Hoon comes in. Zia in trouble, gets taken out by Flied Chicken. Yet BTK, Yato, still focusing down on Hoon. Flied Chicken looking for an escape, and unfortunately, Wrath not able to put the damage onto them.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Ixia not being super mobile, and we can definitely see the presence in that right now, right? Like, Ixia doesn't really have a real dash or anything, so it's definitely kind of a problem. You have the CC, but once you get ganked and once you're out of the flicker, it's just kind of GG's, and BTK are definitely taking advantage of that.
Oh, man, a big stun onto Hoon with the rough waves. Is he going to be able to get away? He is. That's a tanky boy Fredrin from him, and the rest of BTK focusing down on this purple buff. They are going to be able to walk away with it.
Yeah, and taking that is huge. We saw it in the last series, they able to take away DPR's purple buff consistently, and this is what BTK needs to start doing. We normally don't see them get this aggressive against TOB, but this is the way we kind of always want to see them play. Get in best player's face, man, especially when he picks up something like the Ling. It's literally like do or die at that point. Zia is going to get picked off again on that boss side, and BTK starting to capitalize a little bit of a lead here.
Yeah, and that's kind of the issue. I want to say, I mean, Wrath is not giving the usual support that Zia has once they're getting kind of entangled on that gold lane. Mobazane finds a kill up at top on Team Yellow as well.
Yeah, now with that, another tower down. BTK is taking 1, 2 towers, working on the... Oh, best player just gets shattered down by the rough waves. BTK definitely in full control of the game right now.
Yeah, 7-3, not a familiar spot for BTK against the Ohio brothers, but you were talking about the aggression and the offense from them right now. T putting the damage up onto this top turret, and Hoon and Zia forced to try to create that distance. Yeah,
so BTK going to try to work on this mid side now. Does TOB even really have like a big answer? Like, essentially best player was... was supposed to be the answer for Yato, but now that he's low, they have no one that could get to him, and he just puts so much pressure on Wrath and on Zia.
Yeah, and then especially those ganks onto the gold lane without being able to kind of get away. Yellow does activate that last insanity, not going to be able to find damage or a kill just yet, but best player doing best player things, especially on Ling. We've seen him in this position before, not doing great on the Ling, but is going to be trying to create some pressure around the map with some of those split pushes.
Yeah, and I mean, he does it well, but here comes Mobazane in the mid side.
Yeah, it does kind of create a little bit of a distraction there. And we see that ultimate, that full barrage coming out with the assistance from Wrath, able to take down Zane. Best player comes in with attempts to blades, trying to back off T. Fly Chicken lying in wait, looking for the perfect opportunity for a pop-up and the rough waves. Last insanity is out. T gets taken out by Zia, while on the other side, Yato able to find himself a tower. Does get taken out by Hoon.
3 members of BTK crumbled down in a matter of about 30 seconds all across the map as well. BTK maybe going a little bit too deep. They had a nice lead there. Oh my god. Fried Chicken, bro. He's just always there. He's always watching, Mike Lebowski. Like, the guy just doesn't stop, man. It's like you're never safe. And right now the target is best player, and he is locking him down every single time.
Yeah, and he's just always in a great position. As soon as he saw the split pushing from best player, he wanted to go ahead, make sure that he positioned himself on the other side of the map in case best player came there. And then it paid itself through dividends there, as he was able to find the rough waves as well. And Ohio Brothers not in a great position here for this game. Only about a 2K gold lead for BTK, though.
You know, something I want to point out is we didn't see much Paquito at all in like the first 2 phases, and it's a hero I've been waiting to see a lot more. And recently, especially today, we've seen it all over the place. I think in like more than half of the games we've seen him get picked up, and he's definitely been very detrimental. And T's been doing such a great job on him. Well, hold on.
Yeah, feathered airstrike raining down damage onto the Ohio brothers. Yellow on the front line trying to fend off. Mobazane does activate that last insanity from the flank. ISO comes in with the damage, taking down Wrath and bursting down the other members of Ohio brothers to the point that they now need to retreat.
Man, the Airthel's just so fast, just comes in out of nowhere. Pops the ultimate, starts shredding down members, and just when TOB, it kind of felt like they had some space, BTK deny that, and they've taken over the jungle once again. Best player's been barely able to get any buffs. They're giving this orange buff over to ISO. I don't think TOB is going to be able to deny it, and they're also not going to be able to deny this Lord. Mobazane should be able to take it.
Yeah, there's not going to be much contention from the Ohio, but it's not in the position to really even look for team fights yet. Oh, man, another one. Chicken finds another kill onto best player.
How does he just knows. How does he always know where best player is going to go next, man? Like, just the game sense. I don't know, man. It's insane. Like, he's just waiting in these off lanes. I think after the one time we saw best player split push, Fried Chicken's like, all right, I got him. He wants a split push. I'm going to start waiting in these side and just chill. And in comes best player time after time.
Yeah, and it does seem to be the answer. Best player, I mean, there's not much you can do if you're trying to split, especially now you're starting to take away the only other tool that Ling has left, especially when you're so far behind. The Ohio brothers trying to mount up a little bit of a defense here. Minions crashing in all lanes with the Lord up at the top. You see BTK surrounding that tower, able to take it down very quickly. And TOB have to be very concerned about how deep they go into with these defenses, because all it takes is for BTK to jump in, maybe get a stun. Feathered airstrike is down. Ramp gets taken down by Flied. Chicken finds another mark. Meanwhile, Yellow trying to get out of the way. Immortality has been activated in the back line. Zia finds a kill onto T, and that will be 1 kill apiece, but still a great push for BTK. But oh man, best player this
once again
with the split pushing ability here right now, he is swinging away.
I have one job, and midair, taken out. Yato able to take him, but he does take the tower. And honestly, like, I don't think it's a bad, like, he'd be useless in the defense. He'd be useless in the team fight, right? Like, I don't think there's much he can actually do in a fight right now at 1-5-3. Taking a look at his gold, he's 7,500. He's sitting even at the bottom side of BTK and all of their lowest gold members. Fried Chicken's almost passed him up at this point. So I think it is the right play, as long as the Ohio brothers can defend some of these pushes. For him to kind of gain space here and there, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, 7K gold lead for BTK right now as they're trying to continue this chokehold around the Ohio brothers side of the map. Only inhibitors left for them, and you can already see all the jungle starting to get refused from the Ohio brothers. Yato does receive a taunt on the other side. Mobazane comes in. Hoon's going to go ahead, dash his way to safety. Mielo from the right comes in. Last Insanity is out. Hoon goes down, and Mielo might not be able to find an escape. Yato with the finishing touches, but best player swoops in. Tempest of Blades is out. Fly Chicken finds the kill. Zia with a full barrage, putting on the damage. 5 kills of his own.
That is clean. I mean, Zia is starting to pick up. He just left in the VOD as well. And I will say that this Ixia, from what I've seen, even in other games, it does pack a bit of a punch once it gets online. And it's weird because it's not exactly like Shred, but it's not exactly Burst. That full barrage, though, you can definitely get some cleanup if the time is right, and it does have some defensive siege potential in it at that. So TOB definitely not out just yet. Yes, BTK has a huge gold lead, but TOB should maybe even be able to defend this Lord if they play it right.
Yeah, they should be able to, but I mean, what we're talking about, what we need for a plan to kind of come back from it right now. And I mean, every angle that the Ohio brothers are coming at it from right now, whether it's trying to mount a defense, trying to have best player on the lane get those split pushes, there seems to be an answer, and BTK is responding quickly for it. Tempest of Blades is out onto 3 members, best player juking and diving around those swords to put on the damage. Minions are starting to crash up at the top with that Luminous Lord, while Zia is up there to try to take care of it. Still waiting for these lanes to kind of synchronize up mid. Minions coming in first, while half the Ohio brothers getting juked out by Feathered Airstrike finds best player. Fly Chicken finds a tower as well. There are no more high grounds. The base is exposed, cold, naked, and alone as the Ohio brothers trying to defend it. Yellow comes in with the last Insanity. T finds a kill onto Zia. Yellow have to go back to the base. Wrath gets taken out by Fly to Chicken. Now you can see the rest of the damage going onto the core. This is going to be game 1 going to BTK.
All right, BTK coming in game number 1. I think this is their first game 1 win against TOB so far this season. So well done. Can they continue it? It was definitely in a very dominating fashion, and I think in the past games against TOB, even when Fly Chicken subbed to Rome, it just feels like he's gotten so much more comfortable. The team has gotten a bit more comfortable with it. They work better with it now. The synergy is starting to get there, and it's definitely something TOB has to watch out for, especially coming into these next games.
Yeah, and the There's just certain picks that you just can't give Chicken right now. He's too skilled regardless if he is a romaine or not. And I think right now we've already pretty much thrown out that argument, as Chicken pretty much has showed he can play anything he needs to be successful. 9, 2, and 3. I mean, you think he's not a romaine? Are you kidding me? Fly Chicken able to find some great pickups, not just during team fights though, where there's a lot going on, but his positioning around the map, able to find and surprise even best player.
Yeah, surprised him several times, about 4 times in a row at that. Another player we want to keep our eyes on, Yato, had a great game as well. 4, 1, and 6 with some nice positioning, even able to put himself around ISO 2. Let's take a look at this replay. BTK with about a 7,000 gold lead here, and ISO just running rampant, able to catch people off. Milo tries to make some play into the backside. Yato with the reposition, taken out before he has a chance. Yes, best player does come in the nick of time, but still every time he comes in, it's over. And by the time Zia does finally start reaping up some kills there, it's a little too late. The gold's gotten too far away. Taking a look at some of these stats though, Private.
Yeah, Rich Guy gonna go over to ISO while the carry going over to Yato. He doesn't usually get the highlight plays anymore because of his positioning in here, but Sandbag and Forgotten One going to Mobazane, doing his job, being that front liner, and especially when it comes to kind of bursting down some of those, I want to say, tankier heroes out there.
Yeah, and so coming into game number 2, do we think the bans completely changed? Do you think we just, do we get rid of the Kadita? I feel like you definitely get rid of the Kadita, right? Do we get rid of the Basha? Back to some of the bans that we normally would see from TOB, the Basha is normally something they always take away. It's always been something I've watched for, and they take away the Basha, they pick up the Fredrin, and you put Zane in this kind of weird position to where he doesn't have 2 of his comfort picks, right? So I think that's something they kind of need to get back to if they want to play throughout game 2 much better than the past one.
Well, I guess it kind of, for me, it depends on why those were left out in the first place. We might be covering down for maybe Wrath doesn't have the same type of hero pool that Shark does when it comes to some of those tankier heroes, which forced Hoon to pick up that Fredrin into the mid lane to try to compensate for it. The one thing I do know is that it's probably not the best time to start experimenting in that marksman role with a very underwhelming marksmans when it comes to movement speed and mobility, especially if you don't have the usual support that you do in that marksman lane. And we saw, early game, Zia was just getting bombarded with BTK members.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, Zia, it's funny because we were just talking about how well Zia does at escaping and at playing alone. But I feel like when you're on a hero like that doesn't have the mobility, because normally he does so well, he thrives on the Beatrix, any kind of slippery marksman, even the Aerithel he's done all right on, a lot of these heroes. And on something like that, there's no real space. And I think that's been one of the reasons why we haven't seen the Ixie a whole lot. Yes, it does seem like it has potential, but it has to be in the right composition, and your team has to be completely ready for it. Now, BTK going to ban out the Fanny again. I don't know, man. The Kaj is gone. I really think TOB, they have to ban out the Kadita, man. Or, Hoon will pick it up, though. That's the thing, though. Hoon will play Kadita if he has to. Even if Shark doesn't play it, it's not uncommon to see Hoon pick it up and do amazing on it. So I think BTK actually might need to, double check themselves as, maybe we want to ban the Kadita, because Hoon will most likely steal that from them. It seems like they're going to ban it, though.
Yeah, well, Ohio Runners, go ahead, ban it out, and that's going to leave open some picks for BTK here, though, as well. Possibly going to be getting that Fredrin as well, because I don't really think the Ohio Runners, are you going to go ahead and prioritize that Fredrin over, I want to say, what we've usually seen in the historically from the Ohio Runners, which is usually that mage or that XP laner, those game changers for them.
Most definitely, and now the Yee's going to get banned out from BTK. TOB on their last ban, and then it's going to swing back to BTK, and then we'll finally get to see what some of these picks are going to be, because that's really what I'm wondering, how much does TOB switch it up? I think they definitely, they went a little experimental in game number 1, I would say, the Ixia pick, They pick up Hoon on the Fredrin once again. I definitely think they need to kind of get back to the basics here if they don't want to lose out on another game, because if BTK wins this next game, I don't know. Trust, the Ohio Brothers are great, but I don't know if today they have what's in them to try to pull a reverse sweep off or anything. They need to try to even the playing field here and now.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we'd be looking at here. I mean, especially when it comes to like a reverse sweep for here. I want to say the Ohio Brothers. I mean, the elephant in the room right now, or rather the lack of a shark, is a big issue for the Ohio Brothers. We've talked about like when it comes to ranked matches, like usually the roam is like one of those flexible. You can put a new person on there. When you start grading up here to like the top 8 of North America, that roam is a very intricate role that you need. It gets the vision, it sets the tone, it sets the enemy team for when it comes to a lot of these plays. The changing it up, we've seen Fly Chicken starting to get his hands on that role, really starting to get confident and comfortable in that role, while it seems like Ohio Brothers might have some difficulties and frustrations at dealing with it. Looking for those first picks, we're going to see what the Ohio Brothers are prioritizing here.
I mean, not only that, but like it's not even just Shark. It's the synergy between Shark and Hoon, man. Like that duo right there is just so deadly. Like I don't know how much they actually talk in comms or what the deal is, but it just feels like they read each other's minds sometime, and like they're always on the same page when trying to make plays happen. Does look like Zia this time is going to lock in the Bruno up front, which I think is going to be a very solid pick for him and a scary pick. Like everything else aside, that pick is going to be scary. And BTK, okay, T, you know, I'm excited about this. I play some Khalid. I'm happy. Let's go. It's going to be a great pick.
I mean, when we're talking about pluses for Khalid, there's a lot of early game damage that he can dish out and a decent amount of sustain, especially when it comes to kind of diving or even trying to offset, especially in the early game where not a lot of heroes can burst him down while he's in that rejuvenating state. I'm not even sure what it's called because we don't really see Khalid out here too often. Pardon?
It's called Eat Sand, nerd. No, but no. The only problem is that it gets CC'd, and like with the taunt and with the Bikini, that's why Khalid fell off. Like, because that second skill, once you get CC'd, you're done, and then you're just a sitting duck. So like, it's a good pick, but also it's a dangerous pick.
Yeah, but apparently that means that BTK right now feeling very comfortable with these next games here. They have the Novaria picked up and a Cho, which we haven't seen in a while from BTK. I know Yato. Yato was actually a really big Cho user way back in the day. Once we were used to have those Area 77 versus BTK matches.
Yeah, so I think what it is like, you know, fine, you guys got Wrath, we'll take Khalid. Let's just do this. Anyways, we're coming on to this next set of bans here. Valentina for BTK, Brody from the Ohio Brothers. We still need a marksman for BTK. Now, the Airthill's still open. The Beatrix is still open. Plenty of options still on the field here, but I don't even know like what really can take on the Bruno right now. I feel like you want some range, right? You just want to be able to like range him in the laning phase because you don't want to get up close and personal with him.
I mean, definitely the range is the big thing for me. I'm not going to say Hanabi, but like Melissa is out there with that doll. You can clear him out because that's the biggest thing about Bruno is even for a marksman, he's got pretty short range there. Oh, and Clint out there, especially with that passive, it actually has a huge range on it that you can kind of put on the damage from.
I think the Clint is definitely straight. I think like the Clint is good. I think the Melissa is kind of getting slept on right now. I think it would have also been a great pick, really. Like you said, you have huge range, plus you have nice shred to deal with the Fredrin and the Bakito and thing, and you had the go away to deal with the Bakito trying to dive on you. So I think it would have been a good answer. They decided to go for the Clint instead. We've seen the Clint pop up a few times. It's done well here and there. It's done bad here and there. So we'll see exactly how ISO coins it. Taking a look at BTK's comp so far, we do have some heavy dive with the Cho and with the Khalid. You have some possibilities for big plays. And now TOB firing back with the Harris. We got a show match tonight, man. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We have a show match tonight. I'm just going to have fun. All right.
Yeah, fun it is. Big thing. I do like kind of I guess Harith is going to be the jungler for them. Florin, I'm actually surprised we haven't seen more Florins. I feel like
Harley's
she's kind of
be mid. Fredrin jungle. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, well. Well, Florin has, I mean, her ultimate, the Bloom now, it's been a global alt, but now with the new emblems, with everything now, it's a huge top up from anywhere on the map. So it's so useful. And I've actually kind of wondered why we don't see that more often. I do like that the Ohio Brothers do have checked a lot of boxes, whether it comes to CC, tankiness, a little bit of zoning out, and the assassin out there as well.
All right, let's jump into game number 2. This is going to be BTK up against TOB for the 100th time. Let's see exactly how this pans out.
Yeah, trying to keep things fresh are the Ohio Brothers and BTK. Some outside the box picks ups here. We'll see how it manages for both of these teams.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, Mobazane has played this Karina a few times now, right? We've seen him pull it up out of the clutch here and there, especially when some of his hot picks are taken away from him. And he's actually done well with it. There was one game against TOB where I thought like they had it in the bag. They ended up blowing it. But either way, definitely interesting. T, on the other hand, you mentioned this Khalid. And yes, I mean, Khalid probably has some of the highest damage from level like 1 to 3. After 4, you could start to argue other heroes and stuff. But early game, his mobility and damage is definitely insane. He has the dive potential as well, so definitely someone to watch out for. Could be the thing that makes or breaks BTK here.
Yeah, and not just that, but he also has that his passive ability. Once he gets going, lets him traverse the map from the side lane to the mid lane so quickly. It's gonna be very interesting to see if there's a way for them to go ahead and deal with it. You see Mobazane, might be locked on the Hoon. Is gonna very quickly use that escape.
Yeah, I was just thinking with the Harley on mid. I think we've seen Hoon play this like one other time. It's not something like he picks all the time. It's not like a super serious pick from him. But still, if we want to, Mobazane finds Tia there.
Yeah, I mean, they absolutely burst him down. There was the combination between the shots from ISO, Fly Chicken with the snipe, and then Mobazane just came in as the cleanup crew.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the plan right now. Mobazane continue to come in as the cleanup crew. He's going to be able to, consistently do that. I'm still trying to see exactly where Harley's going to fit in all of this. You do have some movement. You have some way to get onto ISO here. You have some possibilities to make it on to Novaria as well. I think that's actually a good answer to Novaria, really, because you can actually flicker into that backside and try to definitely secure something. But Hoon almost took a death earlier, so he's gonna have to be careful. Harley is very squishy. Yes, mobile, but just a glass cannon essentially.
Oh, you just see Yellow kind of coming in onto T, who is going to go ahead, put that damage on, and they're still trying to get a little bit of organization. Best player able to pick up this turtle. In comes T. Shadow Assault from Mobazane is not going to be able to find a target, and down goes Mobazane.
And Fight Chicken finds Z up in the top side, so at least it's a 1-for-1, but that's 2 kills onto the gold lane of the Ohio Brothers. And again, gold lane or Mobazane, I think it's a very fair trade overall. They're going to be able to get some gold plating here as well for ISO. Wrath trying to make his way up, but really hasn't been making any huge plays or statements on his side.
Yeah, TOB already on the side of Mobazane. Oh, he is. I don't even know if he was. No, he wasn't able to get that purple buff. It is stolen away from the Ohio Brothers. Better start for Ohio Brothers this game, as they're already inside of Mobazane's jungle.
Yeah, we'll say this, the Paquito could end up being a problem for Mobazane here, right? You have the skill damage, which is always going to hit onto the Karina, right? You have the CC to kind of slow him down when he's trying to dive in. So the Paquito, Milo, if Milo plays right, just having some trouble here.
Yeah, you can see that Mielo ran out of juice there right at the end. T gets away with just narrowly, though.
Man, Khalid needs a buff, man. He's looking a little weak down there. The man needs a buff. Moonton, I need you to handle that. Hopefully, we'll see something like that in the future. But up in the top side, ISO up against Wrath and Zia, and Yato and Flight Chicken have just been hanging out down here as well. I mean,
Yeah, a big Way of the Dragon lands onto Wrath, really taking advantage of his, I want to say, his positioning there. Yato in trouble, best player comes in. Hoon with the deadly magic is not going to be able to capitalize.
Does Yato have the roamer boots, or does White Chicken have the roamer boots right now? I'm wondering. Next time we see the items, remind me. A lot of damage on ISO though.
Yeah, he gets taken down. That's going to be a tower for the Ohio. Well, actually, it's going to be some gold plating for the Ohio brothers. Getting a little bit of gold in their pocket. Best player comes in, locks on the Yato. Not sure he's going to be able to make much happen just yet. Mielo comes in onto Mobazane. That's a lot of damage onto the assassin. Karina, and Mielo comes in with the final touches with that knockout punch.
Milo's so slippery, man. Milo is another player that I think when he first joined TOB officially as the XP, we wondered how well he was going to do. And the man has just been a beast this whole season. So much better than I ever expected.
Wow, Zia, I can't believe he came so close. I thought that was for sure going to be a wipe for Zia, but it's a kill.
That's dirty. That's dirty. So dirty. That's one of the pluses of Harley, right? You get it. If you know where they are, you can get them for sure. And Hoon, having experience on the assassin roles, he can definitely pull that off. Now, taking a look, I want to find my answer. It does look like Fried Chicken did pick up the roam boots. So Yato doesn't have them. Mobazane still having some trouble here. He's 3 levels behind Mobazane right now. And here comes Milo once again, completely shattering him down.
Yeah, Appraiser's Wrath is more than enough. Yato comes in from the outside looking for a little bit of a Way of the Dragon onto Mielo, decides against it as Wrath is there as well. Whole team of the Ohio brothers except for the Marksman. Marksman actually down at the bottom, bursts down T off screen.
Yeah, things have definitely gotten a little bit interesting here. The Echo comes out.
Yeah, Appraiser's Wrath comes down just to take care of the minions. Actually, best player down to about 25% health. The rest of TOB look to be disengaging from this. Great tower pushing so far for the Ohio brothers, and it does look like Zia looking for a little something at the bottom as he picks up that Berserker's Fury.
Yeah, I mean, with that, he's going to be able to do even more damage. Milo, on the other hand, 1, 0, and 2. He's able to move around this whole map, and I don't know, like, what can Mobazane even do here? Like, when it comes down to these big neutral objectives, I feel like he's going to have no way in. He's going to get taunted up by best player, or he's going to get knocked up by Milo. It's just not the greatest matchup for him right now. Not to mention that, but you have even more sustainability with Wrath, causing the bloom and everything. So it definitely seems like there's a lot of things that BTK need to try to answer here.
Speaking of which, Mobazane does get knocked up and put down by best player, looking for some more CC. Taunt goes on to Yato, who's going to use that flicker to get himself to safety. Best player staying in the front line. Yellow trying to put on the damage. Look at Hoon from the side, finds the pick onto Mobazane.
3-0-1 on this Harley. Whether they're taking this game seriously, whether both teams are taking this game seriously or not, the Harley, I mean, watching Hoon on this Harley makes me think that this could maybe become a clutch pick in the future. Like, this could actually be something that they pull out of pocket here and there.
Yeah, it might be a little bit of a reason why Zero tends to favor that in the mid lane as well, to the point where enemy teams have to ban it out from him because he's so lethal on it. Big tower for TOB as they're going to go ahead and disengage.
Yeah, I mean, and it's, yes, you give up, like, your siege and high ground and things like that, but like, especially when you pick up something like the Fredrin in your jungle, something bulky in your jungle, it makes sense to have something, you know, like an assassin-y mage like that. And we always kind of theorize with the Gushin or something like that, but I feel like the Harley works a bit better, just a little more mobility, it's a little less dangerous. I feel like you're not stuck in there, you always have a way to escape, but you still get that lethality there.
Oh man, they're bursting that lore down so quickly. Mielo's gonna go ahead, put some punches, some little taps onto Yato. Ooh, Mobazane almost got his purple buff a little bit engaged there. Is able to pull the retry off though.
Oh, Milo's gonna be walking into T and Yato. But Milo's so ahead right now.
He's actually super fed there. You can see all the damage that comes on him, Yellow, and doesn't even really phase him. Off screen, best player able to pick up the tower. 3 members onto Yellow. Now, as I was saying, that makes me a liar as Yellow goes down.
Yeah, but look at the bottom towers. He is going to be bursting this thing down. And Lord's still coming at this point. Ohio Brothers do sacrifice some of their waves down on the boss side. Lord's going to be a little not as synced up as maybe they'd like it to be, but they're not leaving down there.
Oh, jeez. I think that's the end for Mobazane. Hoon, I didn't think he was going to be able to do it, but packs that flame shot from the pocket, able to put the finishing touches onto him. Now we're starting to focus on this core. Fly Chicken going to use that flicker to get away from Zia. Out comes the snipe. Are we waiting for it? Trying to maybe look for Wrath. Is not going to be able to do it. T comes in with a little bit of a stun. Not going to be able to capitalize on it. This is about an 8K gold lead for the Ohio Brothers. And that's going to be game 2 going to TOB.
What an exciting game, and TOB takes the dub. It's 1-1 at this point. So, on all seriousness, TOB, there's, I mean, yes, the picks were, you know, a little unconventional, but there was a few things that definitely stuck with me there, right? Like the Harley, I think is definitely could be viable in the future after seeing it. And when you're in a place like this, right, where like, I'm sure, let's just be real, both teams are a little comfortable. They know they're going to playoffs. They know they're okay. This is a great time to, you know, limit test, to test some things. And Hoon playing that Harley could be maybe something we see in the playoffs. I think like seeing that, I do feel like it could be viable. And you mentioned we've seen Zero play it. We've seen it be something. What I want to see from BTK is like, let's see Mobazane limit test a little bit. Let's like bring out the YSS. Let's try something different. It's something we've been wanting for so long. And like, these are the days that you do those things. And that's the only thing I think that frustrates me sometimes with BTK is like, you have the perfect ample opportunity to, you know, try some strategies tonight. This is the time to do that, and you shouldn't be wasting that on a Khalid. You know, you should be using it on something that could really be viable in the future. And like Khalid, like I don't care if Powerless used to use him in the past. Like he's just, with how heavy CC so many junglers and EXP laners are right now, he's not really super viable. Let's take a look at some of the stats right now. The Ohio Brothers win 13-4, 9 minutes and 53 seconds and a 10K gold lead. Zia on this Bruno packing one big punch. On the side of Milo, though, I think he was definitely the star of tonight, just completely dominating Mobazane. Picks up the Bloodlust Axe, also gets some of that, also gets the Dominance Ice, and this is when the Ohio Brothers just kind of lock onto this bottom tower. Mobazane caught up in the mid. They try to spend a lot of time to take out Mielo, and they put all their resources there, and here comes Hoon getting the clutch play once again in the mobile. Oh, and uses the flame shot just to be like, yeah, I got you now.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, is that it looked like he might have been able to get away, but had that flame shot right from his pocket. We can see here from the stats, Rich Guy going to Zia, Carry going to Zia, Forgotten One, Wrath getting himself on the board there. Unfortunately, Sandbag going to Yato there, but you can see here from the stats, damage to Turtle, damage to turrets, and Turtle Lord turrets, all basically in favor of the Ohio Brothers. A little bit of a mismatch when it comes to Karina against a Fredrin, as it did seem that Ohio Brothers had the number for that.
Yeah, the Karina, like, it's good against some of those non-skill heroes, right? Like people that are going to output the damage. It can work against marksman and stuff. But the Fredrin, you lock them up. Once Karina comes in, you get taunted. And on top of that, you had Milo, who also heavy skill damage, like very heavy skill damage, plus the CC. So every time Zane tried to come in, there was just literally nothing he could do. He was getting burst down. Then if he did escape, here comes Hoon from the side, able to get those final touches on him, right? So definitely need to rethink some of those things and need to be a bit more thoughtful when the drafts come up. And now, speaking of drafts, this is game number 3. BTK on the blue side this time.
Yeah, gonna have first pick for them. I'm assuming we might be looking at, I don't know if we're gonna be looking at a Fredrin for them, if they're gonna want to secure that. I do like, the Ohio Brothers really been wanting to take away that Fredrin from BTK, whether it's through bans or just picking it up. Even if Hoon has to play it in mid, they're just gonna take it away. Maybe more of a nuisance to Mobazane, as they all know that it's one of his favorite heroes. A typical bans, though, starting out for both of these teams. Faramis on the side of BTK, along with the Kaja and Kadita for TOB.
Yeah, I mean, it is a literal fact when it's like 99% of games of TOB versus BTK, TOB takes the Fredrin. Like, it is just, and it's pure in spite of Zane. Like, no one else is doing, like, no one else has such a high pick ban rate of Fredrin other than TOB. I mean, they're like, no matter what, Mobazane does not get that hero. Unless, like, something here. But even in these spots, normally, BTK is like, they go for the Kadita first, right? Or they go for something else that's a little more viable, right? They pick something else up front. So, like what we saw last game, they pick the Kadita, the Ohio Brothers still take the Fredrin. But, I mean, BTK just has to be able to deal with that, right? We have to get past that. That can't be the only hero that Mobazane's going to win on. And we know he has the ability to play some other things. He played a great Paquito last game against Area 77. We know the possibilities are there. I think the real strat, like when we come down in the playoffs, when we come down in the future, is like, let TOB do that and have something ready for it. Like, because at this point, TOB is almost kind of readable for BTK, if you think about it, just because you know who they're going to target, you know what they're going to go for. So BTK has to get dynamic in their draft too and be ready to deal with that, to counter that.
Now, in an answer, BTK going to go ahead and take that. Go ahead and take that Bruno away from Zia. And man, we were talking about it before. Bruno, even in a normal person's hands right now, is just an incredibly strong marksman. With that crit, with those stacks getting up, I mean, especially when you move into the mid and late game, he's just bursting people down. But when you're talking about somebody like Zia, who's already kind of a master of the craft in marksman lane, it's going to be a huge problem. Especially even what we saw, even with trying to use Clint to try to counter it. The biggest problem with Clint too is you kind of sacrifice a little bit of that mobility. He does have a dash, but I mean, it's a tiny one from all of the marksmen. We do have a pickup here again, taking away the Fredrin. First pick up alongside the Novaria for the Ohio Brothers.
Most definitely, and Martis is going to be picked by Mobazane there. They're going to pick up the X-Borg as well, so far, I like the draft from BTK here. We saw T do wonderful things on this X-Borg. Not only that, but they have the Bruno plus the Martis, just very strong with a lot of bases covered. You have damage with ISO, you have early game damage with Mobazane, and you just have overall coverage with T on this X-Borg. You have chip, you have zoning, you have a lot of those things needed for several points of the game. So the Ohio Brothers, on the other hand, I think they also need to round themselves out. Do they pick up like a high damaging mage here or a high damaging marksman? I think one of those things have to come in now.
Yeah, that's going to be the question as well. And X-Borg, we saw Area 77 had a big struggle against it. Picking up that Paquito again, that's really interesting too, because it's been something that Mobazane also shines on. We saw last game, Yellow had a great game with Paquito, able to kind of get around, get a lot of that damage in to really focus down Mobazane. I am wondering how we're going to kind of fend off some of that early game here from Mobazane, especially on the Martis, who really shines in that, has the Mortal Coil so that he's not going to be getting CC'd down. It's just going to depend on how some of these objective fights go for them, and if they're going to be able to find the retries there. I know it is a huge order, especially when you're dealing with a Fredrin who's got that taunt, who can take your I want to say your focus away from that objective for that split second that you need to be able to retrieve.
Most definitely. And I mean, with Mobazane though on the Martis, like, it's definitely much different than the Karina last game, right? You have so much more pressure, you have so much more survivability, and even have some ability to maybe stop Milo in his tracks a little bit when he tries to come in. I'm wondering like how the matchup between T and Milo is going to go. He did so well in the Paquito last time, and I still think the Paquito does a good job against the X-Borg comparative to a lot of other XP laners kind of have trouble with the X-Borg, have trouble with the kiting that happens from it. But Paquito can kind of close that distance. So in Milo's hands, this could be the answer for them against T's X-Borg. But still, if they don't get if they don't get an early game kill onto T early on, and he's just able to get that immortality and start stacking up, we know how well he can just go deathless throughout the game, and that can definitely be a problem for TOB. But finally, we do see some normal drafts coming in so far. We're not going to get too crazy and just say they're not going to completely go left field on us. But right now, things are seeming, average. Just another day in MLBB. It's 1-1. We're back to ground zero here.
Until we find out that like Xborg is going to be in the marksman
Mia
lane,
jungle.
or yeah, 1-1 apiece, and Bloodthirsty Kings definitely focusing on they definitely reading something into this Angela, maybe possibly not wanting to see Angeline combo, but I doubt that would be the case because we have the Fredrin out already. That would probably be best player on it again with Hoon onto this Novaria. So I guess we're definitely looking for, I want to say, the mage possibly and the marksman for the Ohio brothers.
Most definitely. And with that, marksman, a lot of marksmen still open essentially. Literally no marksman bans actually in the top side, which is like a first for that. Hoon is going to pick up the gourd. A very solid pick. Just needs to be able to watch out for Mobazane, maybe trying to interrupt. And then whatever Fried Chicken ends up picking up as well. BTK, on the other hand, still need a mage. Fars is gone, so none of that. They pick up the Valentina. So they get a magic gush of their own, and Fried Chicken picks up the Franco. Very solid, especially against this, especially against Hoon on this gourd.
Yeah, that's going to be the big problem is you have that Mystic Gust come out, you're sitting duck, and that's a prime opportunity. We saw Fried Chicken. He's no slouch on the Franco either, landing some incredible hooks against Area 77, and now you're going to have basically a sitting duck target for you to be able to kind of land some of those hooks on. Now just waiting to see what Zia kind of wants to put into this gold lane to face off against the Bruno.
I mean, Aerithel, Beatrix, Brody, so many different options out there. Clint, who knows? Maybe the Harith. I mean, and Zia's pool goes pretty deep too when it comes down to it. He does end up picking up the Brody here, so you do have some range with that first skill. We've seen the Brony do okay. We've seen the Brody do bad, but still definitely a solid pick. And you do have some escapability from dives. The problem is Fried Chicken doesn't have like a divey roam right now. Fried Chicken's going to be trying to hook you. Fried Chicken's going to be trying to come in, and if they're able to get that onto Zia, if ISO even gets the smallest advantage here, BTK could definitely make quick work. They definitely have some high snowball capabilities on their team, and I think that's the plan here. Let's get in their face early on.
Yeah, and we're going to see how well these picks do for both BTK and the Ohio brothers. We're getting close to that game 3 here to see if they have maybe something spicy in store for each other. Which composition are you looking for that seems most liable to pay off here, Drex?
Personally, I'm in the favor of BTK right now. I really like their composition. Don't get me wrong. TOB looks good. Like, they have the Novaria. They also have a nice front to back, a lot of possibilities. But I think like the major game changer here for me is probably just the Bruno, man. Like, everything else is pretty similar. Also, I still believe that the Martis can do a little better than than the Fredrin, as long as it's played right. Plus, you have Suppress him with Fried Chicken. I just feel like you have a few more answers on BTK side than TOB has right now.
And we're going to see how that pays off. Mielo does go ahead, engage onto Yato, putting some damage. Actually, Mielo taking a brunt of the damage after that Terrify. We can see big engagement. Fried Chicken does land a hook onto best player. Almost resets. Oh, actually can't reset the orange buff, but more or less just trying to be a nuisance in the enemy jungle.
Yeah, I mean, that's your job, and this just goes... continues to cement that Fried Chicken like knows where he's supposed to be at every part of the game. He knows what he's supposed to be doing depending on what hero he has, what roam he has, and he always, you know, he just follows the assignment, follows the textbook. He doesn't try to get crazy. He doesn't try to do anything super different than the rest of the world, but he's always there when he needs to be, and that's even on this Franco. Yeah, he wasn't able to get a big steal, but still he gets vision. Helps out Mobazane in that sense to know where he needs to be rotating, who he needs to watch out for. And as long as Fried Chicken can keep doing that, it's a huge W for BTK.
Yeah, a little bit of pressure down. Oh, Zia gets caught with the hook and a flicker. ISO there to clean up the missing pieces. Zia goes down very quickly. And on the backside, Wrath comes in with a snipe. Does chunk down ISO, but it's not going to be enough to get the kill.
You know, like, at the end of this, do I just want to see Chicken and Rome in the playoffs? Like, even if Bosch could come back, do I just want Chicken and Rome? I'm almost starting to feel that way.
I mean, he has kind of taken a great ownership of that position right now. I mean, like I said, he's got some great game sense when it comes to it, and it really fits well with whatever role he kind of gets into. It took him a little bit of time, I want to say, for him to be able to kind of get his feet wet about that position. But now, I mean, you'd never know that he wasn't a roam main.
Yeah, and he does go for that choice of boots. I always forget the name of them, the like speed boots that give him even more speed. So which is going to help him rotate even more. We see him hovering down with ISO here, but it's going to help him move around a little bit faster than usual, right? And I think that's really important for a Franco because you're not like a divey. You want to try to change your position quickly. You want to try to move around in these team fights. And there goes another hook onto Zia.
Yeah, Zia unfortunately gets caught again. Not a flicker this time from Franco, but ISO able to clean up. Wrath arriving just a little bit too late to provide enough support.
All right, now Yato also going to be rotating down. Best player getting in the midst of things.
Ooh, a big a big Terrify lands onto best player and a hook, and Hoon able to take down Fly Chicken with that Mystic Gush.
And I love how, and he took his time with that flicker, right? Because he knew if he goes in too early, he gets, he has a chance of getting taunted or something like that, and it stops it. But he waits to the last second till Fly Chicken gets just out of range, and then he flickers in and makes sure he secures the kill. So very well played by Hoon there. A couple items are coming in. Zia able to pick up the Blade of Hepatides. Hoon picks up the, I always forget the name of it, the winner, the cold, the freeze, the freezing sword guy. Chat's going to yell at me for this one, but I forget the name. I'm sorry. It slows him down. I know what it does. But anyways, Hoon picks that up. It's going to help a little bit more, especially in some of these team fights, because he's going to get this slow off on the enemy team whenever he hits that magic gush and the rest of his skills.
Yeah, and you can see right now going ahead does activate that ultimate a little bit early. That means they're not going to have it for this fight. Dancing around the turtle, Mielo is going to go ahead try to zone out Yato down to about half health. Now we're starting to push Mobazane away. Mortal Coil comes out. Is it going to be enough to give best player the time he needs? And best player able to go ahead and pick that up. Another ultimate from Yato, and that's going to be a kill for best player.
Yeah, well played. Zia now on his third death. Yato does go down. Milo as well. Luckily, best player's doing, he's hanging in there. He's 1-0-1 right now. BTK hasn't completely escaped with it. But as long as best player can kind of go deathless, he can at least start to be a front line at some point, start to absorb some damage. The problem is Zia at this point, I mean, on the Brody, I have trouble seeing Zia really get in there. Hoon is going to have to end up being the major damage outputter for the side of TOB. And if Hoon can find the right positioning and eventually maybe they can get some kills on ISO, it could be the turnaround for TOB.
Yes, it could, but there's a big focus right now for BTK onto this bottom tower. Magic Gush is out. Fly Chicken, very low, finds the hook, but gets taken out before he can make something happen out of it. Mobazane is going to go ahead, slow down best player. 3 members of TOB in hot pursuit are not going to be able to catch up to him. At mid, we see a little bit of an exchange going on. Terrify onto Mielo. Here comes the last Insanity. Is not going to be able to get away.
That's a really good play by T. Even though they lose that bottom tower, they make up some ground in the mid side, able to take out Milo. Now he's at 0-2-0. Normally Milo's he's an important member of the team. As we keep on saying, he definitely.
Yeah, it does seem like Zia is a moth to the flame when it comes to getting caught by that hook right now. I want to say that's 3 hooks for Fly Chicken right now. Best player coming in, the brunt of the assault with the taunt. You see the magic gush from Hoon. Hook lands, but it's not going to be enough to save them both.
Most definitely. So, this in. It's called the Ice Queen Wand, and now that I've just heard that, I think I'm so stupid for not knowing the name, because I know the name of that item. But anyways, back to it. TOB starting to get a bit more control. They were at about a 2,000 gold deficit. Now we've knocked it back up to 1. Should be able to claim this turtle most likely. Some things we need to watch out for, though. T sitting at 1-0-0. I mentioned this. If they're not able to get any early game kills onto this X-Borg can become a real problem in the mid and late game, especially in the hands of T, especially compared to Milo, who's taken 2 deaths as their EXP laner, and he's the one who's supposed to be creating space for the team. But with the burst damage of Yato and ISO, he's not going to be able to do that as we go farther into this game.
Yeah, we want to see how that kind of shapes out for them now. A little bit of pressure starting to be coming up to the top lane. I think that's because we've already taken care of the bottom lanes. Now Fly Chicken trying to set his focus up to the top. Actually, 3 members of BTK. They do get a little bit of vision on Mobazane, so you have to know. Mielo has to know that they're in this lane. Ooh, he's going to go ahead, run through there, juking and jiving, trying to put on his dancing shoes. He's got BTK in pursuit, but this allows the time for the Ohio brothers to pick up that mid tower.
Not only that, but they take the purple buff as well. Best player able to secure it. A lot of damage.
Yeah, Mielo gets caught with a hook and bursted down by so on the other side, Best Player's gonna have to dash him away to safety. Zia picks up the kill onto Fly Chicken. Best Player narrowly gets away on the Fredrin as ISO was putting in the work.
ISO's getting confident, man. He's like, there's 4 of you or there's 3 of you. I don't care. I'm coming in. He's like doing the damage. Only backed off at the final moment when Hoon's finally decided to turn around there. But still, we can start to see, you know, the damage he's starting doing. Wow. But Hoon with those flicker magic gushes, he still hasn't taken a death, and he is also a huge danger. He's at 5,400 gold right now. He's got the Ice Queen wand in. He's got the glowing wand in. He's definitely starting to output a lot. Compared to Yato, who's about a 700 gold deficit behind him, Yato just got the Lightning Truncheon in, has finished the book, but still falling behind in terms of damage. And what BTK kind of lacks too is they don't have that, picking up the Valentina, they don't have that high ground mage, right? They're more of just like, they're kind of Ube, like we got to get up close and personal. We don't have someone who can just like sit in the back and really output damage. Even ISO as a marksman, Bruno's more of like, I want to dash in. I want to try to like get in the midst of things. I don't have a huge range. So BTK has to find a way to deal with Hoon as we creep farther into this game.
Oh, they're setting up for position halfway down on this lore. Big hook lands on the Best Player. Suppression is on him. He might not be able to make it out of here. That's a retry down for the Ohio brothers. Zia with a torn apart memories on the backside. Mielo looking for a kill. He's not done, and he takes a whole bunch of tower shot for his effort. Meanwhile, Zia able to get the Lord as they take their focus away.
Mobazane got brought down really low health, trying to get down Best Player, and he just kind of backed off. He didn't want to risk going in there for the Lord and taking the death, so they lose the Lord out. Zia able to take it. Milo finds Yato. Milo finally coming online a little bit here. 1v1.
Yeah, he's battling it out with T here. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to make it out. Even Fly Chicken coming into the flank for a little bit of support, but I think T definitely had that under control.
So BTK doesn't take the Lord, but they should be able to melt down this one. So they're not going to lose too much out of this. TOB not able to gain a lot of ground. Hopefully Zia at least takes this bottom tier 2. If he can do that, then they gain something at least from that Lord take here.
Yeah, you're talking about that, but look at the damage that Zia's dishing out at this bottom tower as well. Going to clear out some of these minions, and Best Player inside the jungle right now. Mobazane sees it. They're trying to refuse it. This might be a little bit greedy for TOB. Mobazane going to go ahead and pick that up. Hook lands onto Best Player with the suppression. T finds the kill.
Oh my God!
From Hoon! Oh my God! Clears out 2 members of BTK with that Gord ultimate.
That is disgusting, man. That is so disgusting. 5-0-3 on Hoon. That is ridiculous. That's a 2-for-1 right there. Greatest deal you can find in the land of Dawn right now. Yes, they hook Best Player, but Hoon, it's like the perfect setup. He wants them to hook him almost, because once they're all staying still trying to melt him down, Hoon just pops the magic gush. While this is happening, Mielo in the top side taking more towers, and the tides have now shifted into the hands of TOB. They've taken the gold lead, about 2,000 at this point. They've taken control, and it even seems like they kind of have control of these fights. So now it's not just Hoon either, it's Wrath as well, 1-0-6, and BTK just doesn't have a way to get back there.
Yeah, it's just kind of amazing because for every kill that BTK get, I want to say TO, he does flicker in for that suppression. Wrath caught with the hook, and that's going to be all she wrote for Wrath. Unfortunately, Hoon does not have the measurements just correct as that ultimate misses all the BTK members.
And it's like they sat there right at the edge of it, so it's like if Hoon did have the flicker, but if he flickered in, he would have been dead meat, right? There's nothing he could really do there. Luckily, they do catch Wrath, so there's literally, as I'm talking about, they find the answer. They got to try to use these conceal plays correctly. They need to try to catch them off guard, and Chicken's just got to go in, use that flicker, and either try to get Hoon, try to get Wrath, though Hoon is definitely the favorite.
Hook lands onto best player, but they definitely don't have the damage for I want to say a mid-game of Fredrin right now. Yellow, man, every single time BTK get a kill, it's answered back by the Ohio Brothers with kills of their own, and with Yellow on the other side of the map finding himself another tower. Now, slow play of the Lord. Best player getting a little bit of aggravate. They do spot out the rest of BTK. Yellow coming from the side. Hook lands onto him, but the rest of the team is not ready. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, big damage for best player. The rest of BTK running away from the fight. They don't have the manpower here for this Lord. Mobazane's gonna have to use that Mortal Coil to get away. Meanwhile, best player putting his attention back onto this Lord. Not gonna be any contention from BTK.
Yeah, that's rough. Zia, after taking those 4 deaths, we're starting to see a little bit of damage come from him as well. TOB bided enough time, and now they're back in this game. Not only in this game, but leading this game, trying to put themselves at match point. ISO and Yato just got shattered down, man, and the torn apart memories was just the final touch there, able to get that final kill. BTK now on the ropes, in the base, waiting for the push to come.
Yeah, Luminous Lord coming through mid. Minions coming to top and bottom. BTK going and clearing them out. Another hook lands, and a suppression is going to be the end of Hoon. That's a big amount of damage that you're not going to have for the next fight. Rest of TOB looking to disengage Fried Chicken. You know he's looking for another hook. Following closely, stalking his prey. He does decide against it.
Yeah, and because of that, like, I just noticed too, like, when he's chasing like that, he's actually moving a little bit faster, mainly because of that boots choice, right? So, like, when if he wants to try to chase and go for the hook, he can always catch up, because right now he's essentially the fastest one on the map. So, which is kind of funny because he's a Franco. But yeah, so he's moving quickly. He's moving along. He's able to get these pickoffs. We definitely can't count BTK out just yet. And as the game creeps on farther and farther, it doesn't matter who he hooks, because if he gets one player off the map for 40, 50 seconds, it's huge.
Oh, we do have the last insanity. They're trying to burst down best players, trying to dash himself away to safety, down to about 10% health. The rest of Ohio Brothers are in chase. Yellow comes in, puts the damage on Zia, finds a kill onto Mobazane, and Immortality has been activated from Yellow. Hoon finds a kill onto Yellow. Ultimate is out, bursting down BTK with that true damage, while Zia comes in to pick up the pieces. Oh no! ISO finds a kill onto Zia. Best player might be in trouble. ISO, look at the
ISO.
He's throwing.
ISO
now trying to put the damage on the Wrath. T on the backside. Wrath is not going to be able to get away. What a turnaround for BTK,
bro. ISO. That's all I got to say, man. That's all I'm going to say for the rest of this cast right here. ISO. T going to take a death here. Does have the immortality. That's okay. I thought that was GG's for BTK. I'm not going to lie. I thought that was complete GG's. The 1v1 versus Zia and ISO just trading shots. ISO comes out on top, and then because Wrath tried to come in and help out, ISO's like, oh, you want to jump me? I'm going to jump in too. Comes back, responds, gets the kill, and almost takes out even more. Just insane play from him. 11,000 gold, even though BTK is behind. He is leading all 10 players on the map right now in gold count. He's got the Berserker's Fury, Haas Claws. He's got the Wind Talker as well for even more crit there, Malefic damage, and then the pair of boots. I mean, the guy's definitely, and at this point, Bruno can become a real problem. We've gotten to that peak point right now where he is just going to be dishing out damage.
Yeah, he does need to close the distance to be able to dish out the damage. But when you're talking about best player on a Fredrin, you're going to have somebody there who's going to have to maintain. Oh, nice little conceal play here. They're looking for Yellow, who has just been so slippery this entire game. Meanwhile, the Ohio Brothers, the rest of them, going to go ahead, set their sights onto this Lord. Best player comes in with a taunt on the Mobazane. Not going to be enough with that Mortal Coil. Still slow playing the Lord. Rest of BTK coming in now. now starting to look for some type of advantage. Big pop-up lands onto Mobazane. From the side, Yellow comes in, tries to find a pick onto ISO, not yet able to secure it. Lord down, 25% health left onto it. Best player getting zoned out. Is he going to have enough? Wrap finds a kill onto Yato. The Lord goes to Mobazane, getting the retry on it, and Fried Chicken goes down to Zia.
Yeah, but so 2 members for Lord. The Lord's not going to come out with this wave. Oh, it does come out with this wave. If they could have, like, maybe had a little more time, it might have been a fair trade. But at this point, Lord will get melted down. BTK get nothing really out of that Lord take.
Yeah, best player in the front while the rest of his team boasts down that Lord. Abraser's Wrath comes down to be able to burst him down. T with the last Insanity, able to find the kill onto best player. Meanwhile, Zia able to take down the high ground tower. Yellow gonna have to find himself an escape while minions are now starting to push out of the base, and it looks like the rest of the Ohio brothers are going to disengage from this fight.
Yeah, Milo's gonna be able to take this this orange buff. ISO, you mentioned it, not being able to close the distance, and Milo's doing such a great job at stopping him from doing that. Every time ISO wants to try to engage, Milo's there like, nope, 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 just denying him that space, denying him being able to close in and get those free shots off. And if Milo can keep doing that, it can be the thing that puts TOB on the winning side of this game. But if ISO can avoid, or if someone can kind of kite Milo or keep him away from him, all they need is ISO, to get a handful of free shots on one player. And if they can get that kill, they're in.
All they need is for the Ohio brothers to stand still, allow ISO to get a few kills.
They got a Franco. They can make someone stand still.
Yes. So, I mean, and it's not like Fried Chicken hasn't been landing these hooks. Mielo actually on the top is going to go ahead, try to face off against T. And while we were talking about that, Franco right there, Fried Chicken ready to try to land something on. But you can see the Ohio brothers, a good spread on their composition right now, trying to kind of close in and tighten that choke around BTK.
I'm just glad we have a good game this time. Nothing bad about the last 2 games, but I feel like this game, it's feeling competitive. It's feeling like both teams are finally taking it serious. We're in this now, and I it could definitely go either way. Yes, BTK right now has a small gold lead, but we're creeping to that 60k gold mark where it doesn't really matter. But both teams have a few clear win conditions, right? Like Fried Chicken, if they can get the hooks on, if they can pick someone off at this point in the game, it's huge. Milo, on the other hand, if he can get to that backside, disrupt ISO, it is the winning play for the Ohio brothers.
Oh, he comes in, he misses the knockout punch. He's going to have to try to find himself an escape. Meanwhile, best player, I think they're going to have to try to disengage this. They missed the targets that they were going for, and yeah, smartly, TOB going to have to spread away from this.
They tried, though, and that's what they need to be going for, right? They need to go for those pincers, and they're just literally everyone's got eyes on ISO right now. And they're like, all right, we're going to try to double team this time. I'm going to come from the bottom. You're going to come from the top. We're going to get him. He's still able to slip through, but then he also, what you really don't see is ISO's also dodging the meteors coming out at him. Hoon's throwing out these projectiles left and right, so we're dodging those. It's a lot of Arsenal. Oh, there it is.
Oh, yeah. Big suppression comes on the Hoon. That's the mage down for TOB. Best player takes a pop-up, and Immortality has been activated. They're not even focused on this Lord. They want to bring down the Ohio brothers players. Zia comes in with a torn-apart memories, able to take down Zane. Both retries for these teams are gone, and ISO trying to put the damage onto Mielo is not able to throw the soccer ball fast enough.
Hold on.
We do have a hook that lands on the Zia, and that is a marksman down for TOB. A 1-for-3 trade in favor of the Bloodthirsty Kings.
Yeah, they're going to try to go for it, and then with the top side, Milo does try to make a side play, but T's onto him. This should be a Lord into the hands of BTK.
Yeah, and you can see ISO lobbing in. There's really not much that TOB are going to be able to do to stop it. Look how tanky these boys are, just basically throwing slaps at each other at this point because of how tanky they are. Both have Immortality on the side. Yato comes in, trying to provide some support, but is not going to be able to catch that slippery Mielo.
And the fact that Zia got kind of killed a little bit delayed in that fight. Like, best player's back up, Mobizane's back up, but still another 11 seconds for Zia. Can BTK use that to try to get an advantage or at least try to take some more towers? They haven't synced up their side lanes, meaning I don't feel like, I was about to say I don't feel like they're going to win this fight just yet.
Out of the way, Raph leaves best player open, and out comes the ultimate from Hoon to burst down BTK with that true damage. It's not enough just yet, though, as the mid-high ground tower being taken care of by the Lord. TOB are going to lose a little bit of their jungle for this.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish BTK would have sunk things up a bit there, because all they're going to get is this mid push. At least, though, with taking that mid-high ground tower, like, the minions are evened out. So they don't have to worry about just their minions constantly losing to TOB's minions here. Up in the top side, up in the bot side, though.
Yeah, and Mielo was hiding in the bush trying to take care of the minions. Is going to be able to find himself an escape. Is not able to protect that tower. He's going to set his sights to go ahead and try to get rid of the minions up at the top side, though.
Yeah, so now BTK taking control of the map, taking a little bit of control into this game. It's 22 minutes in. Now the gold has been peaked out. All we're looking at is potions and item cells at this point. There goes a hook.
Yeah, hook and espresso lands, and that's going to be the end of best player. But meanwhile, again, Hoon in the back line with that Mystic Gush, able to put the damage on. Another hook lands. Hoon gets the flicker out, but the last insanity is going to be all she wrote for the Ohio Brothers Mage.
I think this could possibly be it. It's 4 members up for the side of BTK. 50-second death counters on 3 members of the Ohio Brothers. All they have is Wrath and Zia right now. No big wave clear, essentially. Zia can maybe help out, but with BTK, the way they're standing, they can try to end this. And look at ISO.
Yeah, ISO is putting the damage. Oh, gets turned out by Zia, who's trying to put in the damage. Yato comes in with the damage, and that's going to be another game for BTK.
2-1. 2-1, baby. Match point for BTK. Are we going to see game 5?
I think that's what they're kind of looking for.
We'll see exactly what happens, but a good game at that. Fried Chicken showing some great hooks there. Definitely coming in clutch, but T as well. And just the bounce back from both teams. I think the major factor is, though, once again, once ISO came online with that Bruno, the damage was getting chipped. And as long as BTK could kind of split up TOB, they were able to win out fights. It's when they were kind of like taking them head on and they were getting caught in these weird spots where Milo would get to the back or best player would get to the back, it was trouble. But as long as BTK could kind of control the distance and the way that the fights were going, they were able to, secure the win overall.
Yeah, and you can see here Fried Chicken with 15 assists as well. I mean, he's pretty lethal with those hooks. And I want to say a lot of this tone was set before these fights if he was able to kind of find that pick onto Hoon. If they were able to kind of get on to Zia. They did land a lot of hooks onto best player. I'm not sure if that mattered as much because that was the opening that Hoon needed to kind of throw down that Gord ultimate, taking all that true damage on. It was, I think, the key moments were when Hoon got shut down early and really kind of turned the tides of a lot of those team fights.
And take a look at T, man. 6-0 and 7-0 deaths. Let's take a look at these replays real quick, though. This is at the 20-minute mark. This was one of the big moments. Fried Chicken finally connects onto Hoon, and then best player just instantly gets shredded down. ISO able to get those free shots off. Finally got him to stand still for a second. ISO does then back off, and I mean, look at him. He's ready to go up against Milo 1v1, and that's been like his major issue the whole time. But someone I really want to point out, man, T, once again, he went deathless that whole time on the X-Borg. Listen, man, like, it doesn't seem like he's doing a whole lot, but he definitely is. He's able to create space. He's able to create zoning. He's able to deal with whatever EXP laner you send at him. And it's a problem. Like, if you just have someone alive on the map the whole time, it definitely makes a difference.
Yeah, we can see here the rich guy going to ISO. I mean, the ton of gold per minute you were talking about it. If he's not dying, he's going to be a menace at some point in the game. The carry, Hoon, we saw it with those ultimates from Gord. 153,000 damage dealt out there, and best player taking the Sandbag award as well.
it still surprises me how much damage Gord does. Like it's honestly insane because it doesn't feel like it's not like he has like a big burst skill or anything. He's just like consistently chipping out, but like it's just insane. Whenever you see that percentage at the end, anytime there's a Gord on the map, he's always like 30-40% damage. It's nuts. And those fights right there, when we were seeing Hoon coming in like halfway, like best player would go down, but then he would just like delete 2 players in a matter of seconds. It's pure insanity.
Yeah, we're going to see if BTK have what it takes to kind of finally close the book on this last series. It's game point for them. Ohio Brothers are sitting at 1 point, BTK with 2.
Yeah, I mean, match point. BTK, all they got to do is win 1 more. Now, this is just the Phase 3 Grand Finals. We still have playoffs after this. But I think at this point, BTK just, you know, everyone's getting comfortable. We also have TOB with their sub on right now. I think everyone's just like, let's put on a good show for the very end. Let's prepare for finals. Fried Chicken, I think it's great practice for him right now on the roam. We're seeing more. I feel like every game he's just getting better and better, man. And like at this point, I was very worried about this whole sub, but at this point in playoffs, like I'm cool with it. I feel good about BTK, man, going into playoffs. The Ohio Brothers, I'm sure Shark will come back. We know Wrath. We met him last NACT. He's a great guy, but still, Shark and Hoon, we need that duo if we're going to be able to really go full power.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the honest thing too. Is like a great guy, but not Shark, and that's the big issue, especially when it comes to like the synergy. You've talked about it, Hoon and Shark. The way that they rotate through the map, especially in the early game, is what kind of creates that pressure onto Zane. It creates that pressure into the side lanes as well. And while I mean, Wrath doing his job here for the Ohio Brothers in this last series. Definitely there is something different about the cohesion of those members there. Moving into the draft, nothing that we are going to go ahead. That respect badge coming out for the Franco right now. The Ohio Brothers going to go ahead and take it off the board.
Yeah, I think it's solid. I think it's very solid. You take out the Kaji, take out the Franco. These are 2 heroes that like, and I feel like this happens every season. Like you don't see him banned in the very beginning, but then towards the end, Franco starts getting banned a whole bunch. Kaji starts getting banned a whole bunch. So now it's like every team, it's like, we always forget how much of a pain suppression is, especially in like highly competitive. Like in rank, you might not ban these heroes all the time, but I feel like when it's in the right hands, these are things you just don't want to deal with. BTK gonna ban out that Bruno preemptively, knowing that the Ohio Brothers Zia will probably pick it up. And just if you're a second pick, I feel like you never want to leave that Bruno open.
Well, also, right, what is still open right now is the Kadita for possibly for the Ohio Bros to pick up. I mean, we've already seen how well that Fly Chicken can kind of perform on it, especially I mean, when it comes to mechanical heroes. I think it really doesn't matter for Fly Chicken. What I've been seeing, if they're a mechanical hero, Fly Chicken's going to be able to use him very expertly, especially when it comes to those target lock heroes that need to aim things. He's just really great at being able to kind of land that at the last moment.
Yeah, I think that's something they're probably debating right now. It's like, do we pick up the Kadita right now? You do leave a lot of things open. The Fredrin is open for BTK if they want it right now, and that's been the thing that TOB takes away. That's a lot of time that's their first pick against BTK. It's like, all right, we pick up the Fredrin and we give them something, but by doing that, they're going to forfeit over that Kadita. And I can guarantee you that BTK picks up the Kadita here. Maybe not. If I'm off, I look dumb, but...
Not just the Kadita, but you've got the Fredrin too, so you've left that open. While you've given Yellow the Uranus, I mean... interesting strategy from the Ohio Brothers. See how that works out with these, because you've left it open for 2 picks for BTK.
I mean, the Uranus has been, like... very strong. We don't see it all the time, but like I think every time it's played, it's almost like it's done wonders. Mobazane is going to finally lock in the Fredrin, and bro, they gotta lock in the Kadita here. It's so good on Fried Chicken. Like, it's so good. If I'm their coach, I'm yelling, Kadita! They go for the Claude instead.
That's why we're at
I'd
the
be an
casting
angry
desk
coach.
and I'd be an angry coach. Throwing chairs into the court.
I told you.
So we've got Claude picked up for ISO. I'm wondering if the Ohio brothers are going to go ahead, maybe try to lock that in. You've said before, Hoon does play it, so he has been known to it. I'm not even sure about Wrath's hero pool. He might be able to play Kadita as well. I mean, it's not the hardest hero to learn. It just is the hardest one to master when it comes to kind of getting those angles for the rough waves, the pop-ups, and the petrify.
Most definitely. And, you know, I want to defend this Claude pick, actually, because now that I think about it, I think they were probably wondering, too, like, do we go for the Kadita? Do we go for this? They pick up the Claude, and I think it's solid, because, like, what if they take a gold laner? We need an answer to, we want an answer to Milo, right? We want an answer to Bull. And the Claude definitely helps. It's a bit more mobile than Carry. Carry's a bit more of like an unsafe bet when you want to pick for Shred. But here goes the Ohio brothers' best player and Angela.
This might explain some of those Angela bans, because I can't remember them banning Angela against the Ohio brothers in the last series, but maybe it's the reason that they were doing it is because they know Wrath plays Angela, and so he's something. And now, I mean, we're gonna see how well this performs. I do like Angela, especially when it comes to other heroes like Uranus, and you're going to have Martis out there, so that's going to be even a beefier front line for them.
Yeah, now they ban out the Gourd, so Hoon's going to start getting targeted here. White Chicken is going to get the Edith, which is something also very solid by him. I think it can do well against the Uranus and even against the Martis, kind of deal with some of those front liners, disrupt them a little bit. So now, with Mobazane on the Fredrin and with Chicken on the Edith, we have a very solid front line. We have some CC, we have some pick potential here. ISO should have a pretty comfortable game and have a lot of ways to move around when it comes to these team fights, like into the mid and late. He's got a lot of mobility, and having two heavy frontliners like that helps even more. So if as long as he can like play a save, he's got plenty of space to move when it comes to those in the mid to late game. Ohio brothers, on the other hand, still they ban out the Dairoth. I get it. I mean, it's, I don't know. I argue with people all the time that it's not a counter to Uranus, but hey.
Well, I feel like in the laning phase, it can be a decent counter. I forgot what game it was that we watched that he had some problems in. He had some problems in the laning phase in the early game, but as we moved into the late game, he was able to kind of hone in on Uranus, dunk on him, and then find himself and escape. My thing right now is that this tankiness that we have from BTK, we need an answer for. It's possibly a carry out there, something that will be able to kind of burst down this thick front line that we have from BTK.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely need something to burst down, and like the Dairoth can do that. It's just the consecration makes it so he can outplay. Like, technically Uranus outplays just because of his ultimate, the consecration. Esmeralda doesn't have that capability, so that's why she gets countered hard. T though, gonna pick up the Paquito. I think it's a solid answer. I don't think he's gonna be able to kill the Uranus. I don't think there's really like anything that really like kills the Uranus as long as the Uranus plays well. As long as Milo plays well, like no singular hero is going to take him out at like level 4 to level 7 or so. Like once he gets consecration in and he can purify and just get away from everything, like there's really not a solid answer unless you gank, unless you send like 2 or 3 heroes and you're able, which they do have that lockdown potential with White Chicken on this Edith. And I almost feel like a Uranus might be even more important to gank than whatever Zia picks up, because if you let Milo just free farm and maybe but now you have a Leslie, so it's like you also don't want to let that get to late game. So like the Ohio brothers right now, it's an interesting draft because you have early game potential with the Martis, and then you have 2 extreme late game heroes that are going to be such a problem if we get past like 15 minutes.
Not just that, but you also have the protection from Angela to kind of help see through, especially if you get like those ganks onto Zia. You'll have that heart guards maybe to help provide that support to get him, to let him get away. And then, yeah, once you start getting into the late game, you have an answer. Ooh, So that's going to be, I believe that's going to be Yato in the mid lane with Kadena. But as I was saying about the Leslie, once you get into a late game, that's the true damage. It doesn't matter how tanky your line is. Leslie's going to be able to kind of burst that down in the late game. But we're going to see if they're going to be able to have a better time against this Kadena than they did the last time they saw it, because, man, it was a menace for the Ohio brothers.
Yeah, I mean, Kadena is just such a strong pick right now. And with that burst damage, Heartguard might not even matter. And like the way the Kadena works is it catches you off guard. There's no way that Wrath is going to be able to click Heartguard, lock onto Zia, all within the time that Yato petrifies you and kills you. You know what I'm saying? Like, Heartguard's a little bit more delayed. So I think the Kadena ends up being a solid pick here. Yes, once again, BTK kind of sacrifices a high ground mage for something that's a bit more divey and bursty, but I think it could be the right choice here.
Possibly game point for BTK here against the Ohio brothers. We're going to see if they have what it takes, as they're trying to set the tone for the playoffs.
Yeah, match point, as you said, BTK trying to take home the first dub against TOB and maybe kind of, you know, like you said, set the pace, maybe try to put in some future sight here. Can they do it, though? TOB, this is the time. Milo already having, you know, down to about half health. Let's take a look at some of the emblems here. Best player does go for Killing Spree on the Martis, which I think is very solid. On the side of T, we have the Quantum Charge, and then we also have 2 other Quantum Charges, so we're looking for a lot of mobility.
Wrath actually gets caught there on Angela. Fly Chicken in trouble, down to about half health as Mielo putting on the slaps to him from the backside. Best player looking to put the damage on him. That's going to be a first blood for Best player onto Fly Chicken. Now they set their sights onto Mobazane, trying to steal away his jungle. As he rotates in, he's thinking better about this fight. Best player dancing around. They're looking for some type of engagement, but now you have 3 members of BTK surrounding him. T tries to go in, gets caught and popped up from the Mortal Coil.
And this is where, I'm like a really big fan of the Martis with a very late game marksman like Leslie or something, or like a Martis with another very late game hero, because he brings such early game pressure. And it's like, it's one of those compositions where it's like you have 2 very clear win conditions, right? And you're not just locked into one thing. Either Best player can scale and just snowball, and even if Best player has it a little bit rough, you still have Zia, you still have Milo as some possibilities to help you carry out through mid and late. And then you mentioned even more, to add even more dynamic to TOB's draft, was that Angela to help Zia and Milo have a little bit of a better time in the early game. So I think TOB just brought a very clean draft here. BTK, though, also a good draft, but just not as dynamic overall.
Yeah, a little late in rotating back to get that first objective. Best player not able to capture it, so it's going to go over to BTK without much contention. That only evens out the gold thus far, though.
Yeah, gold is going to be standing at an even. With the turtle over to BTK, we are seeing a little bit of positioning. Yato, and that's going to be clutch too, being able to rough waves out of that. I'm wondering, what does Hoon go for with his Valentina? Looks like he's going to be taking Fried Chicken's ultimate. Does Fried Chicken get the knockup? I mean, does Hoon get the knockup when he steals that? Because I know, like, if it's considered a transformation ultimate that you're taking, you take a few skills. But if it's not, it's so...
No, the problem is if Hoon takes Fly Chicken's Primal Wrath, I feel like it doesn't really benefit him that much, because Primal Wrath scales off of the physical or magic defense that you have.
I gotcha.
He will get those other abilities, wherein he gets the stun and he gets the little auto attacks, but it's not, I feel like it's almost kind of a wasted ultimate to steal.
Yeah, so probably go for Yato. Probably go for Yato with the rough waves. I feel like that's probably his best bet overall. We'll see exactly how it plans out, how he ends up using some of these stolen skills and what he needs to do. Now, on the side of BTK here, a little bit of map control, but this is going to be an issue. If Milo gets this deep cut and BTK can't do anything about it, we already know the trouble that can cause and how much gold that can give him.
Yeah, and we tried with the Hearts Guard, actually not able to save Zia, but the rest of BTK in trouble here as the swarm of TOB coming in. Actually, now bursting down best player, and it looks like Hoon in trouble. Wrath gonna have to try to find himself and escape as well. From the other side, ISO trying to clear out these minions, looking for a little bit more pressure, and a taunt onto Wrath. Hoon in trouble as Mielo finds a kill onto Fly Chicken off scene.
Man, they're just throwing punches, man. Everyone left, right. We're 3-3, 4 minutes in, 6 kills on the board. That's over a kill a minute. We're looking at almost 2 kills a minute at this point. They're definitely going at it. Mobazane back to his purple buff. So, all right, BTK. T, if he can rotate around, are they going for a? They're going for a lane swap, huh? Already? Yeah, gold lanes. It looks like ISO's gonna be moving up to the top side.
Yep, and we do have a little pop-up that lands on Team Yellow. Another one, too. He's in a bouncy house right now. And Yato comes in, does miss the rough waves. Best player trying to put the finishing touches onto this turtle, while Yellow on the backside, tanking the damage from BTK. Down comes the Appraiser's Wrath, doesn't burst them down too much. Yellow trying to get out of the way. T comes in with those knockout punches, but the Hearts Guard saves him from death, while best player on the backside finds a decimation of his own. Rest of the team trying to get away, and that's going to be a tower for ISO.
A nice tower for ISO, and losing T, I think it's a fair trade at that at least, but it looks like the Ohio Brothers are going to take this tower, which makes that not a fair trade in the end. But wait, Fly Chicken!
Yeah, comes in with that pop-up and the rough waves. Meanwhile, best player trying to make them pay for it, looking for another decimation. Doesn't have it and might actually be in trouble. Primal Wrath activated from Fly Chicken coming in. Is best player is not going to be able to find it as T comes in with the cleanup. Man,
for just a second there, just a second, I thought that was a bad play by Fly Chicken, but T always seems to come in at the nick of time. Mobazane going to be eating up some of the Ohio Brothers jungle right now. They did take that purple buff away from best player, which is a good play. So now BTK starting to get a little bit of an advantage. We're looking at just shy of 2,000 gold, and Mobazane is feeling comfortable right there. He's in the midst of all of them, and he might be okay with that.
Yeah, and right now, Mobazane in a little bit of trouble here. 3 members of Appraiser's Wrath comes down, doesn't burst them down, getting slowed down by Wrath's Angela. In comes best player, able to find a kill on to Mobazane. Now, Yato in a little bit of trouble, earns a decimation for his troubles. Best player in chase, trying to take down ISO, leaps across the ledge. Is he going to be able to get it? He is not. Fly Chicken on the side.
Going on?
With a pop-up of his own. ISO with that blazing duet. Best player has to rethink that one as he gets taken down.
What is going on right now, Private? I don't know where we are, what Twilight Zone we have entered, but they still keep going.
Yeah, Hoon finds a kill on the T. Now Chicken with a pop-up on the Hoon. Sia with the ultimate sniper. A flicker looking for it. Is not going to be able to connect. Fly Chicken in trouble. Rough waves does not connect as Hoon leaves the mid lane.
All right, 7-6. BTK still leading 1,300 gold right now. Turtle may be able to fall over the hands of the Ohio Brothers. Mobazane's on the other side of the map getting his own orange buff. I don't think he's too stressed about this Turtle right now, but we are creeping into late mid-game. Mid-game essentially right now, but as this keeps going further, Lord's going to be coming up in 2 minutes, and that's when things are definitely going to start actually getting interesting here. ISO on the bot lane, he's sitting at 2-0-2. Compare that to Zero, who hasn't gotten a kill and has taken a death, and is on a hero that's much more late game. It's going to be a bit more time until Zia really makes an impact, and if BTK can slow down Zia even more, it could be their win condition.
Ooh, look at the damage putting onto Mielo there too. And I want to say, like, this match right now, what's going on is it's basically it's like both boxers standing in the middle of the ring and just throwing haymakers at each other, seeing which one falls first.
It's like one of those, have you ever watched the slap contests? Where they just like stand there and let you slap them, and then the other guy lets them. That's what we're watching right now. It's a slap contest, and they are both still holding their ground, but someone eventually is going to get knocked out here, and I don't know which one it's going to be, because the way this is going, it could go any way.
Yeah, Yato does find, almost finds the Petrai onto Hoon, who is going to be able to get away. You saw the Hearts Guard ready. Wrath definitely waiting to be able to kind of execute that on. Best player coming in, looking for ISO, thinks twice about it. Maybe a preemptive Hearts Guard there for Best player. He's not going to really be able to make the most use of it from the side lane. Yellow has locked onto Yato. Mobazane tries to come in. Best player comes in, is going to be able to find the kill, but earns a pop-up for his efforts and a death.
And he's reaching right now. He is definitely reaching right now. And I want to say this, like, whether it's because Wrath is on the team or this or that, whatever you want, I will say one thing is that the Ohio brothers, we've seen this from them before. When they start to fall behind a little bit, when they do take some losses, I think it's something we saw in the NACT, they start to get a little bit riskier almost. And I don't know if it's because Shark's not there or what it is, but it feels like Best players just, he's extending a bit more. Maybe it's comfortability, maybe it's they know they're going to playoffs or this or that, but the way I know Best players, he likes to win. He's a calm guy, but he likes to win. He's not crazy when his team gets all kinds of silly and this and that. He's always the one who's like, let's take this serious, let's take this serious. But right now, with the way that TOB's going, it seems like he's just getting a little bit too risky right now.
Yeah, and you see the front line, Mobazane does get a little bit of a terrify. Both teams jockeying for position around this pit. Actually, in comes a big kill onto Zia, earned from Yato. T able to take down the tower, and that's an 8-8 apiece for Bloodthirsty Kings and the Ohio brothers. ISO putting on the damage on Team Yellow. On the backside, Best player gets caught looking for the flank. That's going to be a Lord for BTK.
Big Lord, not only that, but we're closing into that 5K goal when another kill here. Wait, Heartguard?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that Heartguard is going to be able to save Yellow out. I spoke too soon. Look at how much health he's able to get back, and this is just the value you get from a Uranus.
Uranus plus Angela, infinite health hack right there. I mean, you get the heal, plus you get the passive heal from Mielo. It's definitely insane. T now possibly in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, he tried to dive in against Zia, misjudged the reins while Zia was able to pop him back, kind of interrupt his abilities. Now we have minions starting to roll through, looking to take a tower as Bloodthirsty Kings begin their push.
Yeah, I mean, lanes are a little bit synced. They're not going to be able to end here, but they could take that bottom tower, maybe take a little bit more. It's not an enhanced Lord, so you're not going to get the crash. Will just get probably melted down here. Is BTK going to be able to get anything big out of this?
Yeah, I'm not sure. They look like they're going to be able to get that tower. Maybe not be able to transition it to a high ground just yet. I mean, but that's still movement on the board for them. A little bit of an advancement for them.
Yeah, definitely some advancement. A little bit more, like you said, ground coverage. Best player going to try to come out. They're just trying to keep them away at this point. The Ohio brothers don't want to overextend. They know the risk because if they get too deep and White Chicken gets a knock-up or T, they're able to combo anything. Yato. There's just a lot of wombo combo potential on the side of BTK that the Ohio brothers have to consistently watch out for.
Yeah, and it's just, there's an immense amount of CC coming out of them too. So every single time somebody dives in, there's just that attempt of like just being able to put them into a coma with the amount of CC that you have on the side of a BTK. And you can see them refusing jungle, basically pushing, holding these waves at the towers right now.
Yeah, I mean, and when we look at the Ohio brothers, there's no real big lockdown on their side. Like, they have the Terrify, they have the Mortal Corals. That's nothing major. Yeah, you have the Angela, but it takes like 5 seconds to get her stun off. So, I mean, it's just kind of tough for them to deal with what BTK's bringing.
Yeah, we were just talking about the CC ability of BTK. Best player tries to go in, tries to Mortal Coil his way to safety, does not create the distance he needs, and immediately gets locked down. Meanwhile, Mielo on the side doing Uranus things, trying to cut the lanes, does notice that the team's coming after him, but I mean, unless you have the entire team against him, you're not going to be able to lock down a Uranus at this point in the game.
Yeah, I mean, one good thing dealing with the Uranus is like ISO has been able to scale, like has been able to correlate along with Milo scaling, so he does at least shred here. The only thing really keeping Milo up is the Heart Guard. This could be a bad spot though.
Heart Guards come out.
Bro, full bar of health. Full bar of health. Full health. That's ridiculous, bro. That is insanity right there. But that is a Heart Guard down. Lord back on the map. both of them having to go back to base. Milo's still on the opposite side. Look at T though.
Yeah, T's going to go ahead and try to push in there. It's just an Angela. Okay, I was about to say just an Angela against T. That might want to rethink that plan. But both of them on that side doing the split pushing thing here while we're jockeying for a position at this Lord. Mobazane putting the boots to it, and looks like it's not going to be contested by the Ohio brothers just yet. He's spoke too soon. Best player comes in. Coil has the Hearts Guard out. It's a very early, I want to say. When it comes to Uranus, I want to say Wrath is so much more patient than when he sees best player go in. As soon as best player goes in, Hearts Guard immediately comes out there. Maybe almost wasted a bit. T down very low from the back end. ISO with that blazing duet. Yato finds a kill onto best player, and now finally might have a little bit of a problem. ISO does get killed by Zia, but Fly Chicken finally able to bring down Mielo.
Yeah, I mean, it's 3 for 1 plus a Lord. BTK definitely coming out on top, still holding about a 6,000 gold lead. And now with this being an enhanced Lord and nothing but high ground towers standing between BTK and victory, this could be endable. Like I said, there's no big siege potential for the Ohio brothers. You know, all they have is a Zia, which, yes, can melt down the Lord, but still with lack of CC and lack of a high ground mage, it's going to be a tough defense.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing here right now. It does seem like they have the opportunity to be able to close this. There's not. We were talking about it before. I mean, you don't have a lot of CC here to be able to kind of lock down anything from BTK or to kind of hold them down. So you're really depending on being able to chase them down. We saw earlier how well that didn't work out for best player as he tried to chase some of the members into the towers. So it's going to be very interesting to see if there's a way for TOB to deal with this.
Yeah, mid lane, bot lane synced up. Lord about to crash. Let's see if BTK can end this.
Yeah, Lord comes in through the bottom, makes ends meet of that high ground tower. Now best player in the front gets flipped up and tossed up for his effort. He does execute that mortal coil to get himself out of harm's way. Zia finds a kill on to Fly Chicken. Now the rest of BTK on the back foot trying to run away. As soon as they lost the Fly Chicken, they're like, nope, I think we're done with this push.
Zia finally online, question mark? We know the Leslie can be dangerous. I thought it might have taken a bit more time, but the true damage is starting to come through. Yato's going to need to come into clutch here, I think. I think this is his time to shine because he needs to try to get to that back line and take out Zia. Zia, if this continues this way for another minute or two, it's going to be a huge issue for BTK. Even with their gold lead.
Even with the gold lead, sitting at about 8K right now for BTK, which is just amazing that the Ohio brothers are able to push back against it like that for right now. But I'm going to see if that kind of continues as we're looking at 69 seconds on the Lord. Mielo just fearless when it comes to cutting these lanes. He's not afraid of the team. He's not afraid of anything right now, especially when you have that Hearts Guard in the pocket for Wrath. T on the backside gets caught by Hoon and Zia. Mielo puts a little bit of damage onto. Ooh, ISO, look at the chunking. Hoon activates. He uses. Wow, Hoon able to find the kill. I'm speechless from that. Mobazane comes in, finds the kill onto Hoon. Help assistance by Yato. Now they're trying to chase down Wrath. On the other side, gets taken out by T. Best player on the back end, putting the damage on the Fly Chicken. Primal Wrath has been activated. Look at Mielo just surviving past anything. Zia chunking the rest of BTK as he has that safe distance from them, but this might be all she wrote for two members of the Ohio brothers. Down goes best player. They're trying to focus down onto Mielo, and that is an immortality expended for him and a death.
I don't know. I think it's hilarious when, like, he's just standing there. All five of them are just, like, kicking, jumping this guy, and he just won't go down. And finally, Milo goes down, but still, Zia, Hoon, they do buy enough time. Hoon's back on the map. Wrath back on the map. ISO back on the map as well. It's still Vive verse 3. This Lord should go to the side of BTK. I don't think there's anything TOB can do about it. It's getting melted down so fast. Now, BTK back in this position. when they charge this, they still need to be careful for Zia. Zia's doing such a wonderful job at pacing and keeping his distance. He's never going too deep. He knows his range. He knows how to dance back and forth in these team fights, uses skills to get in, get out, and make those hits where it counts. So TOB on the defense once again, but it's hard for me to count them out. And BTK, I'm wondering, like, if they lose Fried Chicken again, if something else like that happens, do they just need to try to force it before it's too late?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. As you move later and later into the game, there's only 6 items that you can get. It just becomes a 50-50 shot, and whoever wins the next fight. Problem is, there's just so much CC on the side of BTK that these fights usually go into their direction. You can see out there right now, big front line here for BTK. Best player dives in, and the rest of BTK back off, looking to try to kite him out. Luminous Lord still at the bottom, still hasn't reached the base just yet, so still a lot of pressure to come for BTK. Minions coming in at mid. Now we're gonna see some pressure. BTK, our best player, comes out, puts on that mortal coil. In comes Amoba Zane, and that's the mid-high ground tower is down. Big Lord isn't really taking too much damage, and look, burst down onto Zia. That's a lot of damage taken off the board. Hoon finds a kill onto Yato. That's 2. Now there's 2 down for the Ohio brothers, and that's gonna be game 3 and the series win for BTK.
BTK finally do it. In the very last match before the playoffs, they take the dub against TOB. A lot of people have been waiting to see that screen pop up with BTK's name on it, but it just hasn't been able to come. Now, yes, I can already see the chat now. No shark, this or that, yada, 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 whatever. Either way, BTK does get the dub here. Do I think that this secures them playoffs? Overall, I still think we have a long show ahead of us. Not only that, we have other teams also hungry for playoffs, but still what this does show is that Fried Chicken is very viable in the Roam. And now what it really shows is we can't count BTK out just yet.
Yeah, and that's the big points I wanted to bring up too, is Fried Chicken finding himself a home in the roam position might not be one of those clear struck issues that we thought it would be at first. Take a look here at the stats. Mobazane 3, 1 and 10. Fried Chicken 4, 3 and 11 that game. He's just, it's amazing to me how much he is able not just to roam, but stick out as a roam as well. And man, I can see it already. The collective North American Mobile Legends Clippers losing their mind right now as BTK take a series over the Ohio brothers.
All of this was caught in 4K by your favorite Clippers. They are out there as we speak right now. Now let's take a look at these replays. This is the last replay of this final game, and this was the moment where, like, I felt like TOB maybe had a chance, but even without ISO, BTK just shredding through. The bulkiness was too much, and Zio just, I mean, he's getting a couple free shots, but still, it's not enough. And like you said, the CC was the thing that I think really put the nail in the coffin here. Even Milo, there's no way to escape, man. T just throwing them punches, man. And BTK withstanding any damage they output and holding them down long enough, making them stand still long enough, as we like to say earlier, to where they could get the kill.
Yeah, it's gonna I mean, an intense match for both of them, but like I said, kind of setting the tone, at least right now, letting us know Fried Chicken is ready for that roam position. I mean, look how long this fight was lasting. That's like at least, like, I want to say a minute and a half there of them trying to bring down Yellow. But when you have so much CC on your side, it's gonna be hard for somebody to get away.
Most definitely it's not going to be. Let's take a look at some of these stats. T as the rich guy. Normally we see a gold laner in that spot, but T with the most gold per minute, which is actually like insane if you think about it for a EXP laner to secure that. 835 gold per minute. That is nuts. Like, I don't think people really understand how nuts that actually is. Fried Chicken once again has a forgotten one with 11 total assists private.
Yeah, I was waiting to see if anybody, there's no way somebody else got the sandbag over Yellow. Almost 300k damage taken. Amazing stats there. But in the end, BTK walk away with the victory. We can see here some clips from the first game where BTK able to come away with the win off of them. A lot of that raining down damage from Yato. Too much for the Ohio brothers, even with, and especially with the Kadita from Chicken, who found a lot of those placements underneath best player.
Yeah, definitely a great series overall. Creeping into game number 2. This is when things got a little crazy. Hoon brings out this this Harley, which in my eyes could definitely be a pocket pick in the future. BTK tries some different picks of their own, and it does seem to backfire on them. TOB making quick work in that game. Now, game number 3, Fried Chicken showing off the Franco and doing so well with it. I mean, just dominating left and right. Same thing with ISO, though, because on that Bruno was one of the major things that helped the win along with T on that Franco. In the end, though, BTK do get the dub on this game and takes them to match point for the final game, where they also secure their victory.
Yeah, you saw those dangerous hooks, actually, so much so from Fried Chicken that they ended up banning it for this last series. And this last series is where we were talking about with that immense amount of CC coming out from BTK. I mean, a huge fight here as Melo taking a brunt of the assault, and eventually BTK just clearing it out for the victory.
That play where ISO comes in with the Blazing Duet and Hoon, the Heart Guard comes just in time and Hoon got the kill. I was speechless there. But then BT, like in that moment when ISO went down, I thought for sure, I was like, oh man, there goes their damage. Zia's still up. TOB turns us around. I did not expect the rest of this team fight to go like this, but oh, okay. Zia has to go back. Minions on the crystal, and that I think is also one of the major things there that they're able to get the advantage. But that is enough of us talking, because I know everyone wants to hear from our wonderful, beautiful host, Liz.
Well, I think you guys have summed it up pretty well. Now, Fried Chicken will be the MVP of this series. I know I wanted to see something different happening this week, and indeed we did see a complete upset with BTK gaining confidence before they step into the playoff arena. And with Fried Chicken getting this MVP and his performance, as well as the Ohio brothers missing a vital member of as a roam mage, it really shows you how important the roam position is, and it also shows you how well Fried Chicken is doing, having gone missing for a whole season and coming back in just 2 weeks of practicing roam and doing so well. That's incredible, guys.
Yeah, I mean, just had a wonderful game, and this is back-to-back MVPs from last series to this series. Fried Chicken, Mr. Worldwide, the new dub name. Hashtags in the chat. Definitely excited to see. I mean, like I said, I'm totally comfortable with this composition right now going into playoffs for BTK. I love Baj to death. I've been a Baj fan for a long time, but I don't doubt if this is the final composition, I can't sleep on it, man.